All right, let's just jump right into it. If you've been paying any attention to the crypto market lately, you've probably got some serious whiplash. I mean, the news is pulling in completely opposite directions, right? It's just a storm of mixed signals. So, in this explainer, we're going to try to cut through all that noise and figure out what's really going on.
And yeah, this is the question on everyone's mind, isn't it? The market hits this incredible new high and then bam, it just takes a nosedive. It's exactly the kind of move that creates total panic, with headlines screaming that the party's over. But is that really the whole story here?
And wow, what a peak it was. I mean, Bitcoin just rocketed to a new all-time high of $124,000 for the first time ever. That's a huge milestone. But just as quickly as everyone started celebrating, this nasty dip happened, and we really need to understand why.
So what could possibly trigger a sell-off like that? Well, the official story, the one you saw plastered all over the headlines, it all points to one big thing. And there it is. This was the headline that dropped right as the market started to turn. Google, we're talking one of the biggest companies on the entire planet, is suddenly cracking down on crypto wallets. Now, on the surface, that looks like a massive blow to crypto, right? To its accessibility.
And when you dig into the details, you can see why it caused such a panic. This new policy, which is supposed to kick in around December 2025, could literally remove non-regulated wallets from the Play Store. We're talking about an impact on millions and millions of users. And maybe more importantly, it tightens the pipeline for you to buy and hold your own crypto. It really feels like a direct shot at self-custody.
Okay, but this is where the story gets, well, complicated. Because behind all those scary headlines, there's something else going on. A completely different set of actions. This is the hidden story. And trust me, it paints a very different picture.
And this quote right here, this is the key to understanding this whole thing. Let's just forget the public statements for a second. Forget the scary press releases. Instead, let's focus on what they do. Let's look at what's actually happening behind the curtain.
And here's that contradiction right in front of us. On one hand, what they say, Google publicly bans wallets, which creates a ton of fear that might make you want to sell. But on the other hand, what they do, Google quietly takes an 8% stake in a Bitcoin miner called TeraWolf, so they're investing in the exact infrastructure they seem to be fighting against. See the disconnect?
This is a classic smart money move. We're talking about the big dogs here, the institutional players. They don't make a big song and dance about it. Nope. They move quietly, strategically to get their foothold for the long run, often while everyone else is panicking.
But look, it's not just Google making these kinds of moves. Not by a long shot. This whole pattern of quietly accumulating, it goes all the way up. I mean, all the way to the highest levels of government. Now get this. This is a direct quote from the U.S. Treasury Secretary, and it is an absolute stunner. I mean, you might want to read that again. The United States government has started a strategic Bitcoin reserve. For years, the policy was to sell off any confiscated crypto. But now, they're on the record saying they are going to stop selling it. And not just stop selling, but continue to build it up. This isn't some accident. This is a national strategy of accumulation. And we're not talking about a small side project here. The estimated value of this reserve, right now, today, is somewhere between $15 and $20 billion. That is a massive, absolutely undeniable commitment. And the mission they've stated for this reserve, it leaves zero room for doubt. The goal, they say, is to make the United States the Bitcoin superpower of the world. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't about tolerating crypto anymore. This is about dominance. It signals a really deep, long-term belief and a strategic play for control of this whole new financial world.
So you've got this quiet confidence from big tech and from the government. And you know what? It's being echoed very loudly on Wall Street. The institutional rush into crypto, well, it's just impossible to ignore at this point. And the signs, they are flashing everywhere. We're not talking about small-time players here. Franklin Templeton, an asset manager with over $1.7 trillion in assets, just partnered up with VeChain. At the very same time, you've got a full-blown arms race going on between these Ethereum treasury companies, all trying to stack up the most ETH. And on top of all that, crypto-native companies are now going public on the regular old stock market. Just take the crypto exchange Bullish, for example. Its stock goes public, and on day one, it just explodes. A 90% gain in an IPO? That is almost unheard of in a normal market. It's just a huge, undeniable signal that investors are hungry for the stuff. I mean, when you see IPOs performing like that, and you see trillion-dollar managers making these huge strategic moves, the conclusion is pretty much inescapable, right? The institutions aren't coming anymore. They're already here. Plain and simple. Wall Street likes crypto.
So let's just pull this all together. What you've got are two completely competing stories. On one side, you have the fear narrative. This is driven by scary headlines and public announcements that cause these painful short-term dips. But then you have the evidence narrative. And that's the story of quiet, steady accumulation by corporations, by governments, by Wall Street. And that signals a really powerful long-term belief in where all this is headed.
And that leaves us with one final, really crucial question. Are all these conflicting signals part of some coordinated strategy? A way to shake out everyday investors so the big guys can buy in at a discount? Or is this just the messy, chaotic process of a brand new market trying to find its place on the world stage? That's something I'll leave for you to think about.